I've had to cancel tons of videos predicting the offseason NBA draft due to reports coming out and trades kickstarting before my own expectations. So I just figured, why don't I just make a video recapping every day of the offseason that is actually genuinely eventful so I can actually cover it and make a video about it. So, well, anyways, welcome to the first offseason recap that I made. This video is being recorded before the NBA draft. It is currently 5:35 p.m. EST. Just in case there's anything, like any reports that come out before the NBA draft, that kind of like contradict what I'm saying here. But yeah, I will be going through each individual report, some extra words in for each specific event that happened. So let's get into it. The first report we get of the day is actually a franchise-altering signing, or I guess you could say a re-signing, for the Washington Wizards. The team with the number one overall pick in the 2026 NBA draft. The Wizards lock up Trae Young for 3 years of guaranteed basketball in the NBA, as well as a player option in the fourth year. And the grand total of that contract, including the fourth year with the player option, is $212 million. If you're wondering what my thoughts are, well, I actually did give my initial thoughts on every single move in a Discord server that I have documented of every single offseason move. I might publish it at the end of the offseason. Just y'all can look through it and just see. Because, I'm not going to go through every single thing, like the Aaron Wiggins trade and some other signings that didn't happen on June 22nd. Just because it wasn't eventful enough for me to actually make a video on just the Aaron Wiggins trade. It's not, that interesting. So, if you want to, look through that, I might be posting that server. But yeah, it's on the screen. You can read it, pause. But I'm just not really sure if I can trust Trae Young to be in that Spurs Chris Paul role, just, yelling orders and organizing the team on both ends of the floor. The efficiency is mediocre. He's a heavily heliocentric guard, and his weaknesses are painfully obvious. I'm not saying Trae Young in Washington is in concept a bad idea, but locking him up for 3 years on that much money. But he's probably accepting that player option for the fourth year, because by that time he's probably going to be, I think he's going to be 31 years old. He's definitely taking that money, that bag guaranteed, So they're kind of essentially locked in for Trae Young for 4 years unless they want to move him later on in the contract. I won't speak on this one too much just because, no offense, it's the least important one they have for today. But honestly, I wish we got more details. The contract is said to be multi-year on $10+ million for Mo Diaware's contract. But over how many years is the question that I'm asking, because 2 years, $10 million or a little bit above that is definitely much, considering that you have Landry Shamet and Mitchell Robinson in free agency. But if it was 4 years, $10 million, that makes more sense. That's a good safe contract just to bet on. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna assume it's 2 to 3 years, because multi-year, 2 to 3. But yeah, that's Mo Diawara. This one was inevitable with his insane performances with the Timberwolves after acquiring at the deadline, which in hindsight was one of the best acquisitions from a playoff team. Probably being the best, unless I'm forgetting someone. If I am, I'll put it on the screen. Even with playoff heroics and cement breakout for Minnesota for the second half of the 25-26 season, I think 4 guaranteed years for someone who's probably not replicating that production is almost desperate, as the Timberwolves are scratching and clawing in different avenues to get back to their conference finals glory. $22.4 million per year, including the player option 5th year, on average isn't as bad as I'm making it seem. I'm just saying that much money over that much amount of time, just not a fan of it. Okay, so now we get to the trades. This Julius Randle trade to the Brooklyn Nets was actually before the Ayo Dosunmu move. Not move, but the extension or signing. But, I just wanted to do the signings first and then the trades. Anyways, my first initial thoughts are on the screen right now. But I don't know how to feel. Minnesota definitely saved a lot of money. They got out of a solid player, but he just didn't have the contract that he was on. And also the fact that he just isn't a reliable playoff performer. Outside of that Lakers series and the Warriors series from the 24-25 postseason, outside of that, I can't recall many Julius Randle playoff heroics. So he definitely had negative value. I will say that. His value was probably negative. But you salary dump him while moving 5 spots down in the draft. I'm not saying there won't be talent there. And I'm not saying it's not a good move. I'm just saying, I mean, if we're looking at the Timberwolves trying to save as much money as possible, they definitely did so by getting off of Randall's contract. Then the Timberwolves did succeed. They moved down 5 spots, which is, less cash. As you go down in the draft, you earn less money. And you also get off the huge Julius Randle contract. For the Nets, I can understand why they did this because, they don't have a favorable swap. Houston has a favorable swap for their pick for the 2027 NBA draft. But I don't know, man. MPJ and Julius Randle on the same team is conceptually hilarious. We don't really know about who was available, who wasn't, or who was actually accepting calls from the Nets. So I guess I can kind of understand. Like, many teams probably wouldn't just want to dump a player. I mean, they would probably have to give back Terrence Mann for some specific teams with a more stricter cap. But I feel like maybe they should have waited. But if this is, maybe they did try to make some other moves for other salary dumps or other, like, semi splashes. But giving up your quote-unquote franchise center while just acquiring a negative asset that's probably not leading you to playoff basketball. For the Bulls, they've been really good. They still have their number 4, number 15 pick, and they acquired Nicholas Claxton for free. Okay, ladies and gents, we now arrive at the grand finale that is the Giannis Antetokounmpo to Miami Heat trade. Everyone who isn't named Patrick Star already knows about this trade by now. Like, even my mom called one of this trade, and she barely knows what a jump shot is. Anyways, the full details on screen, like for every other move. And you can definitely see Miami went all in, for Giannis, to put it simply, For the Bucks side, this is an incredible haul, getting young pieces in literally every position. I do think Hero should and will be rerouted to Detroit. I heard reports that they're going after Zach LaVine, which is very questionable when Tyler Hero exists. But hey, what do I know? The Bucks have one of the best contracts in the league with Ryan Rollins making $4 million for the 26-27 season. And then when you add Kasper Jonas into that backcourt is extremely exciting. And that's not even including number 10 and number 13. Getting to Miami, everything I will say is assuming that they will re-sign Norman Powell. For how much money is the question? I'm not sure. The defense for Miami is insane. Davion Mitchell with the starting lineup. Like, Norman Powell is their worst defender, and that's not even like he's like an average defender. He's like maybe a bit below average at this point of his career. But with him not having to do as much ball handling duties when you have Giannis and when you have Davion Mitchell, I don't think he's going to be as bad on defense because the more offensive load that you have, the less you're going to be able to exert yourself on the defensive end. But no, seriously, I think this is actually a solid trade. Also, I think people don't realize that he got Bobby Portis. The backcourt is definitely very thin. Davion Mitchell gets injured, or he's exhausted, or he just isn't playing well. Who do you have play? They want to put Norman Powell at the point. Okay, so who's playing the 2? In the world of no injuries, which is going to happen, this Heat team, it's definitely better than the Bucks. It's better than Giannis being in the Bucks. But I do want to say that trading this much for Giannis is definitely better than just running it back the same team over and over again until you lose everyone to free agency or trades where the players lose all their value. But besides that being an issue, Giannis might actually be a trap. I'm not saying he's not a top 5 player in the league because he is, but with his lower body injuries and his overall just availability not being as good, I don't know if the asking price should have been that high. I think that the Bucks try to squeeze as much value out of the Heat as possible, which they did do. The Heat really gave up every somewhat valuable asset they had. Everything gone. Giannis is in this age 32 season for the 26-27 season. If he goes down, that's going to be one of the biggest backfires in NBA history.